You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Okay, folks, welcome back for the second hour of the Officer Jack McLamb program. We're going to try to get Stephen on the line here. And just want to tell you, folks, that pray for this Sarah Palin, or Paulin, would you? Pray for her. She's a true Christian, and she's going in there and compromising her principles, all of her principles. I just wonder how true a Christian she is. It's just on my mind, because I can't think of any Christian. Ron Paul's a Christian man, and he wouldn't even think of being John Trader McCain's presidential or vice presidential nominee. So pray for Sarah Palin, folks, or Paulin, and that she will stand up for her principles that she's had during the time she's been governor of Alaska, and will not be swayed by the ego of being the first woman vice presidential candidate to go into history books. Ego has a lot to do with how we do things in our lives, folks. And God, that's why God says ego is so evil. Ego is so evil. But pray for Sarah Palin that she will make the right decisions, folks. And like I say, I am writing in Ron Paul, or I'm writing in Pastor Chuck Baldwin. Okay, Pastor Chuck Baldwin. As a Christian, we cannot vote for evil, even if you think you know which one is less evil, of Abomination or Traitor McCain. Let's go and see if we've got Steve on the line. Brother Steve, are you there?
Glad to be with you.
Hello, Steve, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I can hear you fine.
Brother. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Very good.
Okay, great.
Thanks for being with us
today,
Steve.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, listen, tell the people quickly who you are, would you?
Well, I'm a 47-year-old father of four and a patriotic activist in the Patriot movement since at least the 80s, when I first supported Governor Meldrum Thompson for president. And I was convinced that Ronald Reagan was the real deal for the first term, and got smart and realized he wasn't during the second term, and kind of had my political awakening in the late 80s when I met the widow of Emanuel Josephson, Dr. Emanuel Josephson, who wrote many books exposing the Rockefellers and their control of our entire political process, and that began a journey of awakening for me that took me a couple of years. And I'd say since the early 90s, I've been right at it, trying to help folks to understand that we definitely have some people in high places that are not in favor of keeping our sovereignty, or of even keeping freedom alive in this world.
Yeah. Well, brother, thank you for all those years of service.
Thank you for yours, Officer Jack. I'm a huge fan of yours.
What'd you say, brother?
I said thank you for yours. I'm a huge fan of what you've been doing, and your faithfulness throughout the years as well.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Steve, what do we want to talk about today? To set the stage here, and just let's get into it, because we don't have a lot of time, okay?
Okay, well, I began, of course, like a lot of other patriots, was excited to hear that Dr. Paul had formed an exploratory committee back in December of 2006. And I signed up to get involved in the campaign in March of 2007. And here in Aroostook County, Maine, which is the largest county east of the Mississippi, I knew we had a good chance, because people here are pretty much back, the old-fashioned farm. A lot of farmers up here, a lot of conservative folks, a lot of people who don't like the government to begin with, and began to work hard to try to get the message out about Dr. Paul's campaign. And to make a long story short, we did, in fact, sweep Aroostook County for Dr. Paul and our caucuses here. But there was always, almost from the very beginning, some concern about the official campaign staff.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be right back with you, Steve. Hold on to that thought. We'll be right back after these important messages. Folks, we're coming back here on the Officer Jack McLamb program on the Great Republic Broadcasting Network, and we've got a great patriot on the line with us, Steve Martin. Steve, continue on with your thoughts there, brother.
Well, thank you, Officer Jack. Time is so short. If you don't mind, I'd like to just rattle off some points real quickly, and then we can talk about in detail which of those you feel your listeners would most like want to hear about.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Well, as I mentioned before the break, a lot of us that were involved in the Ron Paul movement from very early on became very concerned fairly early, like around May, June of 2007, that there was some serious problems with regard to the national campaign staff. For one, they never hired anyone known to be a long-term patriot or someone who had any problem with the official government story on 9/11. Number two, there was the vote fraud issue was raised early on, and Jim Condit Jr., who I consider to be the foremost expert on vote fraud in the country, was immediately shunned by the campaign when he tried to look into vote fraud as early as the Ames straw poll in August of 2007.
Yeah.
Third, the campaign finances. There was a huge amount of waste. We still can't account for tens of millions of dollars in campaign expenditures. Just one example from the rally that took place was they spent $250,000 for that woman, Sally, I think, or something, to go up there and rub her breasts and sing 4 or 5 songs in front of everyone.
Wow.
Four, there were a lot of ads that were just horrible.
Yeah.
There was a pattern of waste in terms of production costs versus amount spent on actual air ads. And along with that, we never ran one single national TV ad when John McCain was able to run a whole bunch of them leading up to Super Tuesday with 1/5 of our funds. Number 5 was the homosexual issue. There was a lot of homosexuality in the campaign headquarters, starting with the number 1 guy, and that was certainly a problem if you're trying to win the Republican nomination, which is still dominated, the Republican Party is, by Christians.
Yeah.
Number 6, the whole anti-conspiracy attitude of the staff. They never wanted to hear about a conspiracy, never believed in a conspiracy, never felt that any conspiracy was worth talking about during the campaign. Number 7 was the billionaire who tried to put money into the campaign if they would only get rid of the people who were destroying the campaign, and they would not. Ron Paul himself would not. Number 8 was, of course, the fact that he quit on us before the convention when he promised he would stay through to the end. Number 9 is the stuff that's coming out just today on reclassifying of salary, items that were previously classified as unclassified to Kent Snyder, and he is now up to over $240,000 that he collected in 1 year of work for the campaign. Number 10 is that the new Campaign for Liberty apparently is not going to help any current Ron Paul candidates running for office. They're going to start doing that in the next election cycle, which could very well be too late, as you know, Officer Jack.
Yeah.
So there's some food for thought. Where do you want to take that?
Well, brother, it's just a shame that, I've been a Ron Paul supporter for 30 years as he's battled in the Congress to get the UN out of the country, to get rid of the Federal Reserve, to get rid of the income tax and everything. But I'm really troubled by the fact that all of this could be going on Ron Paul's watch. He's got a guy he was with for 10 years, this hardcore homosexual that died of AIDS, and the campaign said he died of a heart attack, and Ron Paul got up and praised him and praised him and praised him, and then all the neocons that he had packed on his staff that seemed to be sabotaging the program, and Ron Paul doesn't know any of this. I mean, how naive would Ron Paul have to be, Brother Steve, not to know all of this is going on? And now something up to $20 million is missing from the campaign funds that people donated?
Well, you would have to be incredibly naive, but to give him the benefit of the doubt, there is a possibility that he just is that naive. And talking to people very close to Ron Paul who've known him personally for many years, they claim that he just does not have the radar, if you will, for infiltrators or even homosexuals. He doesn't know how to find those people on his own. Doesn't seem to pay a lot of attention to that. He seems very focused on speaking a message and letting everything else be handled by underlings. And of course, if you hire your top underling is no good, then the rest of that staff is likely to be no good as well.
Because he would hire the rest of the staff.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
so we started with a problem that just ballooned out of control.
I hope that Ron Paul is that naive, because I hate to think the other way around, that he purposely sabotaged this taking our money, taking our energies for all those months, and he was a lackey of the CFR. I hope that that's not true. I don't think that's true, And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's just so naive that he allowed all this to happen. But, Brother Steve, didn't we also hear on our conference call that Ron Paul never felt that he would ever be president, that they were doing this to collect names and collect following? Didn't we hear something like that,
yes,
Steve, in that conference?
Yes, that's fairly well documented now, that Ron Paul never wanted to run for president, first of all, but was talked into it by Ken Snyder with the idea of reinvigorating a PAC called the Liberty PAC, getting a whole new list of donor names and email addresses and such. And, of course, when the campaign started to really roll, 100 times bigger than anybody thought it would, I just believe that, things burgeoned out of control. However, I do have a concern, I know you do, and many of your listeners probably do too, about the Masons. And I don't know whether that issue is necessarily going to give us the answers we're looking for, but it's been confirmed that 3 female members of his immediate family are involved in the Masons. So why would someone for all these years who has been a patriot not understand the threat to our sovereignty that is represented by that group? Wow. And then why would he allow, and even after he discovered and was fully aware of the fact that Ken Snyder was a homosexual, why would he allow that to continue within the campaign?
My goodness.
He seems to have a great deal of personal loyalty to people around him, which is fine, but there comes a point when, when incompetence becomes blatant and an absolute stumbling block to achieving what it is you set out to do, you need to make some changes, and he doesn't appear able or willing to do that. Yeah. Or at least wasn't in the past.
Well, brother, every one of my prayers for Ron Paul to God Almighty was that if it's God's will, he will become our president. And I think that's the best way to pray for these candidates, Chuck Baldwin and Ron Paul. If it's God's will, let him be our president. And it looks like maybe it wasn't God's will. Maybe Ron Paul, because of what we're learning about how naive he was and how he loved everybody around him and didn't care who they were or what they were. Maybe there's a reason that he dropped out and is not going to be our president. I personally think, Steve, that if he'd have kept running, he would be our president, because his campaign was grabbing such momentum. I mean, it was growing and growing and growing. And what do you think, Steve?
Oh, I think that without a doubt he would have had a very good shot. I just, there was several things stacked against him. Of course, the mainstream media was not going to be helpful. The Republican insiders were going to do everything they could to thwart his campaign. But I agree, with the kind of money that was donated to this effort, we should have accomplished so much more, Officer Jack.
Yeah.
And our money was squandered. And I cannot believe that all of it was simply a result of incompetence. It goes deeper than that, I believe. I don't have proof, but as always with these conspiracies that are, numerous in this country, the conspirators control the levers of information in this country as well. So it's very rare that you ever get proof about these things. But when you add up all of the ways that our money was wasted, and you add up all the facts that, about people who were hired by the campaign who show no interest in the things that you and I talk about, Officer Jack, and most of the patriots in the Patriot movement talk about, you have to put 2 and 2 together, and it comes up to 4. And that is that we were done. We were done in by the campaign itself.
Yeah. And hopefully, I'm praying that Ron Paul, although he indicated several times during the campaign that we couldn't win and basically took the air out of our tires, months ago he was on television and told the people he didn't think he could win, and that just blew me away, and Carol Asher and many others that were working so hard for him that he would early in the campaign say that he believed he couldn't win. And it just took the air out of my tires, brother.
Oh, and it took the air out of many folks. And I just can't help but believe that Ron Paul never really wanted to be president.
Yeah.
and he was caught in a situation where he was talked into doing something he probably shouldn't have done, and then had no easy way to back out.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it sure burned a lot of people. I'll tell you, people I heard on our conference call, brother, and I didn't know this, that people sold their homes and gave the money to Ron Paul to become president of the United States. I mean, think of those people today, how crushed they have to be from him getting up and quitting.
Right.
When he said he would go all the way to the convention, and then he quit before the convention, way before the convention, when we were on a tremendous roll, gathering speed all the time and gathering people all the time who were on the side of Ron Paul, even people on the hard left, brother.
That's right.
Were joining us, the hard left, that no longer believed a chicken in every pot of the communist doctrine that they'd been taught for years, had joined the Ron Paul revolution, you know?
That's right.
We'll be right back, brother. We're coming up on a break. Be right back.
Okay.
Okay, folks, I know this is kind of a downer program because, Steve, we got to figure out where do we go from here. I mean, I can't I can't vote for evil, and I know that Abomination and Trader McCain are both controlled by the Zionist-controlled Council on Foreign Relations, and they're working for this Antichrist world government system. What are you going to do, Steve?
Well, I would write in Chuck Baldwin, but I just don't. Where I'm located, you can't even write someone in and have the vote count. They won't count it. No, they won't. So I'm either going to just sit home, or I might even, believe it or not, of all things, vote for Cynthia McKinney of the Green Party. Not because I believe in any of her socialist positions on economic issues and so forth, but at least she does talk about 911 and how that whole situation we were lied to, and that's
well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Cindy McKinney.
Cynthia McKinney. Yeah, she's a long-term congresswoman out of Georgia.
You think she'll be on the ballot?
She should be on the ballot in every state, yes.
Yeah, well, if she is against this Antichrist world government system...
Oh, I believe she is, yes. She doesn't have a clue on social issues, which is a shame. But
then that
or economic
issues. I guess. I know. This environmentalist thing is all a farce.
Yep.
That I read about years and years ago in the report from Iron Mountain, where they talked about bringing to the American people, they were going to get rid of the fear of the American people of being nuclear attacked by Russia. They were going to dump that because that was a fraud too.
Right.
And they decided in the report from Iron Mountain that they would make this, the sky is falling, the world is being destroyed, this environmentalist wacko movement into the fear factor to keep the people scared, to keep them under control.
Right.
And so that was
the best we can hope for now, I think,
back in the late 60s.
The best we can hope for is that neither of the establishment candidates, McCain or Obama, would get even a significant plurality.
That would be wonderful,
We
brother.
just all go out and vote for a third party. Everyone do that.
Yeah, everybody vote for a third party. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, brother. Yeah, it'd be nice if Pastor Chuck Baldwin was on there, because he's one of us, without a doubt, and he's not into the environmentalist wacko movement, but he's against the Antichrist world government system that Abomination and Trader McCain are representatives of.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on your ballot, vote for him. He's the best candidate we've got right now. I agree.
What would you like to get into now, Steve?
Well, we could look at each of those points I raised in a little more detail, if you like. Or do you have calls? Do you have any callers?
Yeah, please do. No callers right now.
Okay. Let's start with number one. I said that they never hired any known patriots. I should qualify that. They did hire one. His name was Paul Garfield out of the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Paul was the state coordinator for the Ron Paul campaign for about the first, I want to say about 5 or 6 months, and had him up to about 15% in the polls there. Now, Paul is a little bit gruff. He's kind of a bull in the china shop type, but he's an experienced pro when it comes to getting people elected, and he's a true patriot. He's involved with Gunners of America and the John Birch Society, the whole bit. Well, Paul got fired around, I think, about August of last year kind of just unceremoniously dumped by the campaign without any explanation. And in his place, they hired a woman who had never even voted before, a housewife from Michigan, and the person who handled Southeast Michigan for the campaign, which is Detroit, the largest population center, was a young Yale graduate who had worked for the Bush-Cheney campaign in 2004.
Oh, great.
That's the type of person that we were hiring and getting rid of patriots for.
Wow.
So, I mean, that should tell everyone something. Here in Maine, we could go through the sorry stories here where they hired the skin of an international banking family to run our campaign up here. And this guy had split our movement. He had our secret conference calls where we were supposed to be discussing strategy. He invited an international group to call in. They had an international call-in number. We have no idea who that was or why they were on our phone calls. We were promised to have a secret meeting just before our state convention to discuss details of our strategy. And instead of having it in a secret location, we held it at the same time that the Maine Republican Party was meeting in the same building, just a floor down. In fact, the vice chair of the Republican Party walked in on the middle of our strategy session. Wow. He was invited to come up and greet us without even knocking.
Yay.
And this is the guy
Sound like you were sabotaged up there, too.
Oh, absolutely. And this story from Alaska, the story is repeated over and over and over throughout the states. It seems that wherever there were real patriots trying to exert, some form of leadership control or try to keep things headed in a direction that would have brought us real change, we ended up getting people hired who were happy to just go along with the Republican Party.
Wow. I didn't know all this, brother.
Well, there's plenty more that could be. You could have several. You could probably do 50 shows on this topic, Officer Jack.
Yeah.
There's so many people out here that are unhappy. The next is the vote fraud issue. I don't know if you probably remember Jim Condit Jr.
Oh, yes.
Was on a call with us. Well, Jim is probably the foremost expert in vote fraud in this country right now. There are others out there, but he's, by my thinking, the guy who knows the most and has been the most active since Buchanan.
Yeah.
Trying to expose vote fraud. Now, he tried desperately to get the Ron Paul staff to let him do volunteer work, free volunteer work, at the Ames straw poll to make sure that straw poll was counted accurately. And you might remember that that particular straw poll they were supposed to announce the results at a certain time. Well, it was over an hour later when they finally did announce them, and we know there was corruption going on there, but our staff wouldn't work with Jim Condit.
I see. Hang on, we're taking a break. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, we're back on the Officer Jack McLamb program here on the Great Republic Broadcasting Network with Steve Martin. And I'd like to give out this phone number, folks, if you'd like to call in and have questions or comments. Please call in on 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443. Hey, Steve, we have a caller on the line right now, and let me know when you'd like to take him, okay?
One other point. Actually, two real quick points, and then
okay, go right ahead, brother.
Okay, the Ames straw poll was the first big test, right? Everyone knows that, and we failed it miserably.
Right.
We came in fifth. Everybody was expecting, except for the campaign staff, who tried to tell us that fifth would be a good thing. We were expecting we could do second or third there.
Right.
After Ames straw poll, we were totally locked out of any TV interviews for Ron Paul. He had been getting 2 or 3 a week, on these various talk shows,
Right.
For about 10 days after Ames, there was nothing. So I called the campaign headquarters, and I said, what's going on? Why are we being locked out? And I spoke with the people there, and they called me back that same afternoon and said, oh, don't worry, we just were able to now schedule 3 appearances for Ron Paul. And all 3 of those appearances went off as scheduled within the next following few days.
Yeah.
I ask you, why would a campaign grassroots guy like myself have to call up and tell them that they were being shut out, and why could they then go out and get these interviews very easily with just a pick up on a phone and a phone call?
Yeah.
It just struck me totally the wrong way.
So they weren't doing that. They weren't
doing their job until they were forced to.
Yeah.
My opinion on that one.
Yeah.
The next thing is this campaign finance abuse in terms of our loss of money. There's about $20 million that is not accounted for in a detailed way that would satisfy everyone. And there are accountants working on that now to find out what happened with that money. But, you know, the biggest point, I think, about the campaign finances and the way they were squandered is the point that we had about $30 million heading into Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
And yet our campaign never ran one single national TV ad. John McCain had about $5 or $6 million at that same time and was literally plastering the airwaves, Officer Jack, with national TV ads.
Yeah.
If you're not running national TV ads, you're not viewed as a real legitimate candidate by the people. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, we're just finding out today that the campaign is reclassifying funds as salary for Kent Snyder. We were told before that he worked for a very meager, $100,000 or something.
Uh-huh.
Good money to you and me, but I guess it's supposedly meager. But now we're finding out it was much, much, much more than that.
Huh.
And there's just constant examples of waste of our hard-earned money. And these folks you mentioned who sold their homes and went deeply into debt to contribute, that money was our lifeblood, literally the last shot that the Republic had, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And the way it was squandered just makes me angry.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to take that caller if you like.
Okay. All right. Let's go to our caller for Steve Martin here. George in Florida. Brother George, welcome to the program.
You know, the thing is, Dr. Paul, I think he put the wrong people around him and was giving them very, very bad advice.
Yeah.
No question
Without
about
a doubt. Without any doubt whatsoever.
Because I was reading on VDare.com, it's more like, they're saying, Ron Paul's right on immigration, but they're saying he's got some really bad advisors. And the thing is, if I'm a candidate, I know where I stand. I don't need advisors.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's just about it.
Yeah.
Even a head coach, a good head coach, don't need assistant coaches if he knows how to run the game.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm calling about something else, about another candidate. It's a Ron Paul candidate running for sheriff, Greg Pound. He was arrested Thursday night for appearing at a Republican convention gala down in St. Pete, and he spoke his mind to one of the candidate congressman's wives, and they got him thrown out, and Greg refused because under campaign and free speech immunity laws, and they couldn't hold him. Now he's locked down in a mental facility.
Yeah.
So he's a political prisoner.
Wow.
And they're doing that to all in Florida. Ron Paul supporters are getting persecuted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Our only delegate from Maine is a fellow that I got to know well at the Maine State Convention. He was badly mistreated at the convention, along with several others. The Secret Service came and ransacked through their all their materials, took everything that had anything with Ron Paul written on it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the abuse of this Republican Party is just phenomenal. They truly have become the brown shirts. That's exactly what they're like. They're fascists. They want no one to ask them questions or question anything they do.
Yeah.
But anyway, if anybody can that's listening, that they call down to Pinellas County Sheriffs and tell them release Greg Pound, because they can't hold him, so they put him in a mental facility. And I wouldn't be surprised they tried shooting him with drugs.
Oh, they grabbed Greg, did they?
Yes.
I'll be darned. I didn't know that, brother.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, you think you can call me after the show and I'll give you some more information?
How about I've got to run out of here to a meeting right after the show, brother. Is there? Could you give me a call back tomorrow morning?
Yes, around. Okay, yeah.
About 9:30.
Yeah, because I would tell you one thing. We're seeing the death of the Republican Party, and they're killing themselves.
Oh yes. Well, it's run by the NeoCon Trotskyites, both the Democratic and Republican Party, so they're going the same direction, identical.
And you know the thing about Sarah Palin? And believe me, I got some good, my letters will be posted in VDare, and this is the thing is, Sarah Palin with John McCain, that's like saying Ted Nugent, ordered for Barbara Streisand to woo the Patriot gun crowd, that he's going to have Ted Nugent play guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it...
Okay. Hey, George, thanks a lot, brother.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your good points. Appreciate it. Steve, did you have anything to say about it?
Just to follow up on that, I don't think anybody that was at that big rally in Minneapolis realized at the time that this new Campaign for Liberty was not going to spend one dime, not one thin dime, to help any Ron Paul candidate for any public office in this election cycle. That was just announced today.
Unbelievable. Wow. That's incredible. All that money. You got to wonder, we heard when we were trying to organize some things here for the Ron Paul Revolution, that they had $5 million, and we called them and tried to get some money to help, and they said no, absolutely not.
Right.
So there's something, these traitors still have control of that campaign, don't you think, Steve?
Well, it seems like the same people are now being appointed to run the CFL.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty much the same problem is going to continue. And if we're going to continue to work with these people, we're going to continue to have ourselves sold down the river.
That's right. That's right. I think
Ron
you're
Paul
right.
has got to be at a point now where he realizes there's a problem there. And if he doesn't, then I'm sorry. As much as I love him, I can't support him anymore either.
Yes, me too. Me too. I'm just devastated because he's been my favorite in Congress for so many decades.
Yep.
And a hero of the people, and now
it's like the final betrayal almost, Officer Jack.
Huh?
It's almost like the final betrayal.
I know it.
It's like et tu, Brute.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
I began to notice as this campaign went along that there were fewer and fewer of the Christian conservative types, and I don't stand for everything that modern Christians do, obviously the wars and the neocon stuff that's taught in the pulpits of this country, but you were beginning to notice there were more and more of these libertine, anarchist, atheist types taking over just about every important position within the campaign.
Yeah.
And that is basically what I, and this is just my opinion. A lot of this is obviously my opinion, and I could be wrong, but my personal view of it is that this is not a campaign that Christians could support.
Well, I was sure supporting it, brother, but now I'm just devastated. I'm just devastated. I have been a cop for a long time, and I've worked with very evil people for a long time, in the government and on the streets. But I've never seen such naivete as with Ron Paul. Yeah. And it just troubles me that he was that naive to know that this thing was going into the dumper on purpose. Yeah. And he didn't seem to know that. And I wonder if he even knows it now.
Well, I think he must. But I think also he was looking for a way out. Remember we talked about at the beginning of the show, he never really wanted to be president in the first place.
Right, yeah.
And this may have been the strategy that he was talked into adopting, to let the campaign shrivel and die the way it did.
Yeah.
And to have $4 or $5 million left over. We always carefully guarded $5 million or so. That was never, all throughout the cycle. We never let our money in the bank go below that number. Let that $5 million go into this new CFL. Now, that could be his thinking. He's going to start a new movement that's going to go out and change the world. But, I've been through that before with United We Stand and the Buchanan Brigades, and movements don't work. We needed to seize the presidency this election cycle, and we could have done it. And that's what really disappoints me.
Yes, we could have, brother. We were going that direction for sure.
Yep.
So
the other thing that really bothered me about the campaign was this constant anti-conspiracy attitude.
Yeah.
If anyone ever brought up any kind of conspiracy, it didn't matter what the topic was, whether it was vote fraud or 9/11 or the New World Order in terms of the United Nations and that sort of stuff. They just didn't want to hear it. Ron Paul, to his credit, talked about some of those issues, not all of them.
Yeah.
But the campaign staff, I would say almost to a man or almost to a woman, didn't want to even consider letting the American people know how late we truly are in terms of the survival of this republic. It was always, well, we don't want to scare people. We want to bring in new people, and if they hear that we're talking about a new world order, they'll just think we're a bunch of nuts and walk away.
That's not true, man. So many people, I'd say 60, 70% of the American people know about this new world order that's being set up today.
That's right.
Because so many of them are Christians,
That's right.
Yeah.
And how can you affect change if you don't understand and diagnose the disease?
That's right.
You can't cure it without a full understanding of it. And what we were basically doing was treating everyone as fifth graders and giving them just a little spoonful of this and a little spoonful of that, but never enough truth to actually accomplish anything, Officer Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
You were
Ron Paul quit,
you were cut off at the knees, man.
Yep. When Ron Paul quit, I really think, regardless of the reasons for it, a lot of us felt betrayed. And I can't, we talked in another show about the various possibilities as to why he quit. I don't know if we'll ever find out, but I think it's incumbent upon the entire Patriot movement that we keep searching for that answer and get that answer.
Yeah, tell the people, the listeners, about this guy in the Senate or Congress that was supposed to have gone to Ron Paul and threatened him.
Well, the American Free Press, and I don't want to speak for them, so probably we should get them on the phone sometime.
Yeah.
Had an article, I think it was in May of this year, saying that when the Trilateral Commission met in Washington, D.C., one of the topics of their agenda, very high on their list, was the concern about Ron Paul. In fact, he was educating a lot of younger people to start questioning the government even more. And as a result of that, they reportedly assigned Tom Foley, the former Speaker of the House, to go to Ron Paul and calm him down or quiet him. And I'm not sure, A, whether that was a true report, B, whether Tom Foley actually ever reached Ron Paul, and C, what was said. But that is one possibility, that he was threatened. Although, when you talk to others who are close to Ron Paul, people that I trust, they say, no, he wasn't threatened. He was simply naive and decided to get out because he was talked into this strategy of building the CFL.
Yeah.
That's Campaign for Liberty. I keep using that abbreviation. Maybe I should say Campaign for Liberty, CFL.
Right.
The other possibility was that he may have discovered on his own that he just felt he did not have the ability to be president. And certainly you could start raising that question now based on his inability to hire and fire good people. If you can't surround yourself with quality people who are true patriots, then chances are you're going to be as ineffective as Ronald Reagan was.
Yeah, for sure.
Ronald Reagan talked a great show, didn't he, Officer Jack?
Oh, yeah, he sure did. I knew before he was even elected president, because of a good friend of mine in California who is a great American patriot, female type there, that had done the research, that him and his wife Nancy were members of something like 13 Communist Front organizations.
Oh, boy.
When he was in Hollywood. And, of course, he was head of the Screen Actors Guild, which is a communist organization itself. So I knew we were in trouble when they brought Reagan in there and made him act like he was Jesus Christ returned.
Yeah, well, when he selected George Bush, I was only 20 at the time, but I remember at that time thinking, this doesn't smell right.
That's right, and it sure didn't. Yeah.
Well, the third possibility could be that Ron Paul was blackmailed. Now, did Kent Snyder have something on him? Who knows? I mean, I hate to think that there was something that, Ron Paul has in his background that we don't know about, but that's a third possibility. So the bottom line is we as patriots have to get to the bottom of this. We need to find out what really caused him to quit.
Yes. That's
because we don't want to go into another election cycle if the Lord tarries, and we have another election cycle as a nation, going out and supporting someone who is unable or unwilling to really serve if we get him elected.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah. Without any question at all. That's so important. We need to find out what happened.
Right.
And Ron isn't willing to tell us, which is sad,
Yeah, but if they've said we're going to start knocking off your grandchildren one at a time if you talk.
Yes.
How do I judge a guy?
I know it.
Can't judge a guy for that.
That's what happened recently to Lindsey Williams, Pastor Lindsey Williams, that he was threatened if he kept talking about Gull Island, where they capped those oil wells on the north slope of Alaska, which would have made America independent of oil, that they were going to kill him and his family. So he backed off.
Well, Officer Jack, there's one thing we can still pray for. There's supposed to be a big announcement coming from Ron Paul himself very soon, either tomorrow or the day after.
Oh, yeah.
No one knows what that announcement might be. But my thinking is that if he wanted to, he could still become president on a third-party ticket, because I know there's a billionaire sitting out there ready to commit $100 million. This was confirmed to me by other people very close to this gentleman. that I consider to be true patriots with long patriot records, okay? People that, like the kind of people that weren't hired for this campaign. Now, if Ron Paul were willing to do that, and he had that kind of money and got all of us in the grassroots fired up again and came clean on what happened with his campaign, he could still win this thing.
Yes, he could. That's a fact. Yep, that's a fact. That big convention he held last week showed that. I mean, that was the biggest convention they had.
That's right.
Listen, we'll be back in just a couple minutes, brother, after these important messages.
All righty.
Okay, folks, we're coming in hot. We got to hurry along now because we only have a couple minutes left, 2 minutes left, matter of fact. And we got a call in from Arthur in Tennessee. Brother, would you like to go ahead and take that 2 minutes, or you want to go to Arthur?
Well, I need to say one last thing. Let me say it real quick, and then we'll go right to Arthur. There are people out there who are acting as lackeys for the insiders in this campaign who are trying to spread misinformation about any of the people who are complaining about their activities, like myself. They will tell you that Steve Martin applied to be one of the campaign people and was never contacted. I don't care that I was never contacted. If I'd heard they were hiring Jim Condit Jr. and Officer Jack McLamb, I would have sat back and been perfectly happy to let this movement go on without my involvement whatsoever. So if they try to use that sour grapes nonsense against me or anyone else who complains, don't listen to them. Okay. Good, brother. Thank you. Steve, do you want to give a closing thought to the people? Yes, just to be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves when it comes to deciding who to support, not only in this election cycle, but going forward. If we go forward with these types of traitors inside our campaigns, we will never be effective. Right, and our country will be lost without any question. Thank you, Officer Jack. Thank you, Brother Steve. Thank you for all your great work you're doing for all America. Like I say, brother, what you do and what everybody out there does as an activist affects me and my 9 grandchildren, and I just love you for it, brother. Thank you so much. Love you too, Brother Jack. Okay, Lord bless you now. Lord bless you. All right, folks, that's it for this Sunday, and we've got to get out of here, but I want to ask you, please, please, please pray every day with me that God binds the hands of our enemies and do not let them set off a false flag bombing in America and blame it on Iran, or drop biologicals here, or blow up our ships at sea and blame it on Iran. And also ask the Lord to bind the hands and totally shut down those that are going to try to bomb Iran. That's done nothing whatsoever, okay, to anybody. God bless all of you. Please keep your prayers going, because I can't stop it, you can't stop it, but God can stop their plans to bomb Iran and bomb this nation. God bless all of you out there. We love you. And don't forget, this old cop truly does love you, brothers and sisters. You're my brothers and sisters, and I'm proud to serve with you. Good day.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Our campaign is all about freedom, prosperity, and peace.
Come on, people, gather around him. He's got a message, hope for us all. Young and old folks are standing together, calling for freedom, calling for wrong law. Citizens all join each other now. Let's spread the message of freedom. We make a call, shout it out now. We want the message of freedom. The golden age of truth is upon us. We're speaking out, no weapons too strong.
very strong advocate of following very strictly the rule of law, the Constitution of the United States. The founders would be ashamed of us for what we're putting up with. Join us in this great campaign for freedom and liberty. Thank you very much.
Nothing more than their freedom.
Okay, now everybody, stand back while you celebrate freedom.
Freedom is what?
What will you do without freedom?
I guarantee the personal freedom.
Time to wake up, America. Open your eyelids. See beyond the bureaucratic cloaks and disguises. They're posers and liars, always probing and spying. Quoting the Bible while they're hoarding their bribes in. UN resolutions outweighing the Constitution. Obey them or else they're nuking you. Get it yet? And no more YouTube on your internet. Power's derived from loopholes within the text. Forget the rest, it's time for a change. Dr. Ron Paul's rewiring brains to enlighten to the spite that's at stake. You better get your weapons licensed today before the rest of your rights are erased and more of our young soldiers' lives are at stake. They say relax, we're your leaders, come on, we wouldn't lie to you. To be safe, we need to stick this microchip inside you. Spread your feet a little wider. Any weed is psilocybin? You were speeding, sir. Cavity searches are required. If you don't like the state taking food off your plate, say vote for Ron Paul in 2008. And if you don't want the IRS repossessing your place, then vote for Ron Paul in 2008. We got troops in Afghanistan, troops in Iraq. Where's our troops at if we do get attacked? Troops out in Africa, troops in Korea. Where our troops gonna be if they do come over here? This is a message to all thinking adults who don't believe civilians should be used as catapults. Don't take what they taught for a grain of salt. They buying votes in bulk and putting money in they vault. Most kids know it's crap when they shoot the crap, but it won't be all that when they institute the draft. We've had a revolution before, have one again, but instead of loading a gun, we grabbing a pen. We still want a constitutional government. The IRS is cruel and unusual punishment. And who said the feds could watch you through your sunroof, pulling you over and making you yell Uncle Sam? Invades the third world, Iraq, next Iran. It ain't complex, man, it's the next big scam. League of Nation building got a map and they throwing darts. Best believe Dr. Paul wants no part. If you don't like the state taking food off your plate, say vote for Ron Paul in 2008. And if you don't want the IRS repossessing your place, then vote for Ron Paul in 2008. We got troops in Afghanistan, troops in Iraq. Where's our troops at if we do get attacked? Troops out in Africa, troops in Korea. Where our troops gonna be if they do come over here? We'll have to fight them here tomorrow if we don't fight them there today. But their IEDs can't hit us from 10,000 miles away. We're out of weapon range, just ask any kid in second grade. Tell them it'll be his generation's deficit to pay. $500 million a day for this war that our nation's funding. The Federal Reserve is busy printing paper money. The billions unaccounted for should keep inflation coming. Tax return money weaker than when it was taken from we. The people think it's funny till you blow your nose with dollar bills. Cause you would need 100 for a water bottle still. So swallow lots of pills, I hope you got the gall to still. That'll be the only way to pay your monster doctor bill. But allow me to remind you of a special document. The prescription for this sickness, time to call the doctor in. Ron Paul got the medicine to set the illness right. But no pill tonight, no bills except the Bill of Rights. You want no child left behind? Dr. Paul delivered lives. And he won't promote a foreign policy of genocide. Forget about our borders, let's give Iran a try. These puppets fuss but never say nothing like Panamans. I thought this was America, land of the free markets. Unless you get caught without your national ID card. Yeah, we need our homeland security in FEMA. Just look how they protected us from Hurricane Katrina. You gotta know, the doctor knows. We'll never send you to Guantanamo for questioning the electoral college vote. He believed the document the founding fathers wrote should be honored from politician to common folk. You'll get us out of Iraq and out of debt too, and get rid of the money-hungry alphabet soup.
Ask Milton Friedman, only a free man allowed it so his seeds can ever hope to reap them. It's happening now, roll up your sleeves and fight, cause the revolution isn't on C-SPAN. Youth of America, open your wingspan. Your forefathers fought for freedom for a reason, not to have it taken by the country they fought for, not to fight a long lost war on the wrong shores. The state should never be conducted by the businesses. That's why the lovers of liberty want it limited, cause it'll lead to a police state naturally. You wouldn't know it chilling at the Cheesecake Factory, but where's Big Brother at when cheese ain't happening? The same cast that let you cash G-base rapidly, same folks that brought you the war and secret prisons. These are guys that you are educating your children. Liberty or death, accept no substitutions. We're moving, come and join the awful revolution.
If you don't like the state taking food off your plate, say vote for Ron Paul in 2008. And if you don't want the IRS repossessing your place, then vote for Ron Paul in 2008. We got troops in Afghanistan, troops in Iraq. Where's our troops at if we do get attacked? Troops out in Africa and troops in Korea. Where our troops gonna be if they do come over here?
If you were president, what would be your strategy for ending the war in Iraq?
Congressman Paul, what would it be?
Just come home. We just marched in. We can just come home.
And a Mormon who says that he supports abortion and divorce of our rights, wanna torture more than the double Guantanamo with sodomy Boston. Like Rudy Giuliani working for Illuminati, he's a puppet of the banks and a real will embody. And he cleaned up the ground zero crime scene bombs. They let him run for president, press applause. He's a pro-war, cross-dress and womanizing, gun grabbing, open border fake, wanna make new wars happen, pushing for a biometric national ID card. Worse than a George Bush cokehead retard. Fred Thompson, who's Fred Thompson? Another fake liar that keeps the war constant. Well, John McCain holds on to fame, and he cheers the Iraq, Vietnam that came. We need Ron Paul for the long haul, cause he'll stop all the wars where the bombs fall. So it's Ron Paul, we gotta stand tall. Every other politician made the wrong call, passed the wrong laws, we need a long pause from the lines, that's why we need Ron Paul. We need truth like the border needs a strong wall. Ron Paul 2008.com, y'all. Hillary Clinton is big money pimping with cash that the corporation's going insane because she's Bilderberg CFR pro-war scumbag planning on invading Iran. We better run fast. Lady Clinton wanna manage a police state. Pan-American, she bring death like she stay. Barack Obama wanna bomb Iran, but he pretends he's an anti-war kind of man. Hasn't said a damn thing about the Patriot Act, or the fact that most people live in one-room shacks, or the fact that our economy's about to collapse, or the fact that most whites won't vote for a black. Besides, these are gun control, free trade, pro-tax, open border shield takes, APAC kickbacks like John Edwards, a tool of the Israeli war crime, clean break, murder while they occupy. We need Ron Paul for the long haul, cause he'll stop all the wars where the bombs fall. So it's Ron Paul, we gotta stand tall. Every other politician made the wrong call, passed the wrong laws, we need a long pause from the lines, that's why we need Ron Paul. We need truth like the border need a strong wall. Ron Paul 2008.com, y'all. Ron Paul 71, a former doctor in Vietnam, op 10 terms in Congress, and he uses the process of constitutional progress, not pushing some fake democracy. Voted down Iraq war, said it was illegal, wanna bring the troops home and end American imperial wars for the Constitution, while these other politicians sell souls like prostitution. Ron Paul stood tall against the Patriot Act, all the Abu Ghraib torture and never raised taxes. Voted down NAFTA, voted down CAFTA, says that the free trade bill's a disaster. See, we gotta stop it all and return to bilateral trade and get us out of an age where the people are losing freedom, get us out of the cage of the banks that treat us all like cattle and slaves. We need Ron Paul for the long haul, cause he'll stop all the wars where the bombs fall. So it's Ron Paul, we gotta stand tall. Every other politician made the wrong call, passed the wrong laws, we need a long pause from the lines, that's why we need Ron Paul. We need truth like the border need a strong wall. Ron Paul 2008.com, y'all. Everybody's fake, we got one chance, Ron Paul, so you better bump the song like I'm Paul Wall. Chris Stop, pissed off, well he's Bilderberg. Joe Biden hiding what? Well he's CFR. Tom Tancredo was a pro-war neocon. Sam Brown back, ought to wear a white hooded sack. against Iran, you know, so chew on that, bruh. They got aircraft carriers in position to strike Iran, moving nuclear armed planes to launch Armageddon in the Middle East. And if Cheney and the Pentagon generals and the bankers that control him don't do it, the next president will. You know why you think every single candidate, Obama included, is talking about bombing Iran? You gotta see the big picture. That's why we call this album The Big Picture. You gotta think beyond Iraq. Well, most of these candidates, including all of the major media darlings, are globalist banker, hand puppet leeches off a major international crime syndicate, dealing the oil, dealing the drugs, dealing the weapons. But you know what I'm saying, Ron Paul is the real deal. I'd say death to British Petroleum, death to Shell Oil Company, and Lockheed and Raytheon and SAIC and Stratcom and Northcom. This is the real revolution, this is the real hip-hop, this is Roy Shivers, this is King Solomon, this is talent, this is RT Armory. RonPaul2008.com, that's what's real, bruh.
Jet Senator hijack. They flew into their towers with the mighty impact. Trade Center fell in total collapse. Now Bush is in the classroom for a photo op show. The story of the goat is what he wants kids to know. The day is 9/11, year 2001. Now who the hell's attacking us and what's to be done? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand? Transportation Secretary, he testified. By 9:20 a.m. he was by Cheney's side. Cheney's in charge in the White House war room. When did the teleconference start? It evolved whom? The letter said a young man asked Cheney in doubt. Did the order still stand, sir? They're 50 miles out. The 30 miles out, sir, he reports to command. The plane is 10 miles out, sir. Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand? Cheney's in the bunker, is it real or a drill? They're flying toward the Pentagon, the White House, the Hill. W's with the children looking out of the loop. The orders all passed secretly within a small group. The young man returns, he's asking Cheney again. Do the order still stand, sir? He questions command. Cheney whips his neck around, of course, says he. Have you heard anything to the contrary? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand? Was there one order to stand down and one shoot to kill? At 9:38, the Pentagon was hit with great skill. The cover for the Capitol was sent out, you see. That's where they sent our fighter jets from Loyal Langley. Incompetence, complicity, conspiracy. Every one of those requires a penalty. If Rumsfeld and Myers failed us all on that day, but why was one promoted, why the other one stayed? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand? Now, it's not till near 10. They're changing all the timelines we were given back then. There's no time now to stop the DC attack. The Pentagon batteries couldn't even fight back. No shoot-down order aimed at Flight 93 when passengers were on the verge of victory. Nader was omitted from the final report. Many other matters they dismiss and distort. Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand, sir? Do the orders still stand? Do the orders still stand?
This is an attempt to prevent the American people from knowing the facts about how we could have prevented 9/11, and people are covering it up today. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican, you can't let a lieutenant colonel's career be ruined because of some bureaucrat in the Defense Intelligence Agency. If we let that happen, no one that wears the uniform will ever feel protected.
I got the urge to splurge. I can't believe these motherfuckers got the nerves to lie through their teeth, mark my words. We're on a mission to put the criminals in prison. No longer will the media ignore the families of the victims. They love to tell you about Britney Spears and Paris Hilton, so you won't focus on the thieves who stole a couple trillion.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
Your media was bought off with some of this money. They're no different than a hooker on a strip, sonny. News reporters been sucking on some good hog. They need to get hit in the head with a wood block. Some would say I'm an angry young radical, and they be right, and I might come strangle you. If the victims don't get the justice they do, consider all of the above true. Before you slip into unconsciousness, I'd like to tell you what you might miss. There's a war going on in the NYC, and it won't ever stop till the truth is free. Even if I gotta run up in the newsroom, duct tape, Rick Hume, take the station over for the people, speak the truth to them. I would do it at the drop of a dime, brother. Edna Centron, yo, that could have been my mother. Standing there in the hole of the North Tower, forced to jump from the smoke as she lost power. We know the fire didn't weaken the steel, for real. Praise due to the professor from BYU. With molten metal he could see right through. All three official stories are exceptionally weak and can't even bear an elementary critique. Their silly Poplar mechanics ain't fool Dylan, and Burma's made them look like a couple school children. Every day the time of the season is treason. That's why I gotta rhyme with a reason. Before you slip into unconsciousness, I'd like to tell you what you might miss. There's a war going on in
fire, or cut through steel in this case. They produce a characteristic burn pattern, like for instance the flowing orange material. There's other characteristics that we can see that are discussed in my paper. This intense reaction region with white ash drifting away. These compounds are rather unique, yes, in their chemical composition. Identifying the presence of these chemical elements, these results, coupled with visual evidence from the scene, provide absolute certainty that thermite reaction compounds were present, indicating the fire was deliberately set and not of natural causes. This is the case here.
Tell us the truth. Tell us the truth. Tell us the truth. What really happened on a 911? The story they gave us within days of the crime. It's been set in stone like it was frozen in time. But I'm still not sure what hit the Pentagon. No, and how can it strike into the very heart of Washington? Why weren't our jets racing into the sky when the first plane was hijacked? Can you tell me why? What made the World Trade Center Building 7 fall? Nobody can seem to explain it at all. Tell us the truth. Tell us the truth. What really happened on a 911? We are the victims of 911. Now the rich and the righteous, they're having their fun. This war on terror is like an ad campaign, but too many lies drive our people insane. Who stands to gain? Answer me that. Time of famine, or who's growing fat? Times of war, enjoying more ease. We want the answers to questions like these. So tell us the truth. What really happened? What really happened on a 911? I got them old new Pearl Harbor blues down to my Gulf Tonkin shoes. We are the victims of 911, but the suffering has only begun till we find out what was done. In the year of 911, what really happened? What really happened? 911. Who was behind all that happened that day? Does a foreign power rule the USA? Was it Osama bin Laden to blame? Maybe it's all part of some much larger game. It's incontrovertible, the evidence screams. It's undeniable, but crazy as it seems. The story they gave us within days of the crime has remained set in stone, like it was frozen in time. But tell us the truth. Just tell us the truth. what really happened on a 911. 911. We are survivors of a 911, but every time we turn around, we're facing a gun. It's as if all the people in this country were stunned until we find out what was done. In the year 911, what really happened? 911. In the year 911.
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. Just so long as I'm the dictator.
Deutschland, Deutschland! Deutschland, Deutschland! Deutschland, Deutschland! Deutschland, Deutschland!
Just so long as I'm the dictator.